Hi, welcome to my video on solving proportions. Solving proportions. The method I'm going to use is cross multiplication. If A over B equals C over D, then A times D equals B times C. A times D equals B times C. Cross multiplication. Examples. Rewrite each as A times D equals B times C. So the first one, 2 times 6 equals 3 times 4. 2 times 6 equals 3 times 4. Check means that 2 times 6 is 12. 3 times 4 is 12. Good. A 5 times 30 equals 10 times 15. 5 times 30, 10 times 15. And that's 150 equals 150. 5 times 30, 10 times 15. Cross multiply. 1 times 8 equals 2 times 4. A times D equals B times C. Cross multiplication. 1 times 8 is 8. 2 times 4 is 8. Correct. A times D equals B times C. 12 times 4 equals 8 times 6. And 12 times 4 is 48 equals 6 eighths, 8 sixes, 48. Practice. You pause the video and do these three to see if you're correct. Rewrite as A times D equals B times C. 6 times 14. A times D equals B times C. 7 times 12. And 6 times 14 is 84. 7 times 12 is 84. 5 times 6 equals 2 times 15. 5 times 6 equals 2 times 15. 5 sixes are 30. 2 times 15, 30. Correct. 1/4 equals 5 over 20. And 1 times 20 equals 4 times 5. 1 times 20 is 20. 4 times 5 is 20. Notice the equivalent ratios. A proportion, the ratios are equivalent. So notice if you multiply this one right here, 5 on the bottom gives you 20, 5 on the top gives you 5. Or 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 5 is 15. So notice the proportions are equivalent ratios. Rewrite as A times D equals B times C. So A x times 6 equals 3 times 5. A times D equals B times C. A times 4 equals 8 times 3. 14 times Y equals 6 times 7. So you're cross multiplying. Practice. Work these out. Pause your video. See if you get the answers right. Rewrite as A times D equals B times C. So B times 12 equals 48 times 1. Number 2, 1 times 5 equals n times 15. Number 3, n times 2 equals 10 times 3. Number 4, 2 times x equals 3 times 12. Notice again you're cross multiplying. 2 times x equals 3 times 12. Next page. Solve each for the unknown by dividing each side by the number with the unknown. So if you want to solve these, 2x is the same as 2 times x, so you divide each side by 2. When you divide by 2, they cancel out to give you 1 and 1, so you get x equals 3. If you 3 times x is 15. To divide each side by 3. The 3's cancel, 1 and 1. So you get x over 5. Notice, look back. 3 times what number is 15? The answer is 5. 2 times what number is 6? The answer is 3. So because that's a multiplication, you're dividing to reverse it. Again, you're multiplying by 3, so you divide by 3 and it cancels it out. If you divide by 5 on each side, the 5's cancel, 1 and 1s, you get n equals 4. 5 times 4 gives you 20. You can almost see the answers in these. Divide each side by 4. The 4's cancel, and you get n equals 10. Again, 4 times what number gives you 40? 10 is the answer. Divide each, the x is on the right side now. That makes no difference. We divide each side by 6. Dividing by 6, the 6's cancel. So we get x on the right side, and we get 5 on the left side. So it don't make any difference what side x is on. You got to divide. You want to obtain x, so that you want to obtain the unknown. So you divide whatever numbers with the unknown, and that balances it out. Divide each side by 7. 7's cancel, 1 and 1. So you get y. Remember, 1 times y is y. Y divided by 1 is y. And 14 divided by 7 is 2. 7 times what number gives you 14? The answer is 2. And practice. Pause the video, work these out, come back to see if your answers are right. Divide each side by 5. Notice the 5's cancel, and you get 2. So I'll cancel the 5's, 1 and 1. Divide each side by 9. The 9's cancel, 1 and 1. So you get n equals 27 divided by 9 is 3. Divide each side by 4. 4's cancel, 1 and 1. You get n equals 25. Divide each side by 6. 6 is with the unknown, x. They cancel, 1 and 1, so you get x equals 3. Divide each side by 2, and 2's cancel, and you get g on the right side, which is 7 on the left side. Again, look, 2 times 7 is 14. 6 times 3, 3 is the answer, 6 times 3 is 18, just checking. And number 6, the 10 is with the x, so 10 times x, the reverse or opposite of that is divide by 10. The opposite of multiplying is dividing. Divide by 10, the 10's cancel, and I get h is equal to 40 divided by 10 is 4. 10 times what number gives you 40? 4. Another way of rewriting a times d. Well, we could write it out as a times d, because the dot means multiplication, or we can write it out as, 2 times b is 2 dot b means multiplication, so we could put a multiplication sign, or we can just go 2b. Next one, 4 dot, that means a multiplication, so that could be multiplication sign, or it could be just a 4x, is your choice. 7 dot n means 7 times n, or it could mean 7n, your choice. 3 dot x means multiplication, so that's 3 times x, or 3x. X times 10 could be, you could reverse it and say 10 times x. You could reverse it and get 10x. So 10x is the same as 10 times x, or x times 10. Y times 8 is the same as, you can go y times 8. You can go 8y, your choice. Multiplication is commutative. You can switch it around. Like 5 times 2 equals 2 times 5. So you can switch them. V dot 6 is v times 6. It could be 6 times v. It could be 6 dot or 6 v, whatever the multiplication sign, your choice. Practice these. Pause your video and work these out. 5 times n, or 5n. 8 times t, or 8t. 12 times x is 12x, or it could be a multiplication sign, your choice. 13 dot y is 13 times y, or 13y. G times 2 is the same as 2 times g, or 2g. h times 3 is the same as 3 times h, or 3h. And 4 dot y is 4x dot 4 is 4 times x, or 4x. Notice when you write it with the variable like this as a multiplication, you always put the number in front of the variable, like 8y. You hardly ever see p3. You see 3 times p. You hardly ever see, say, 4y times 4. It's a 4y. Okay, solve each by cross multiplication. Now we're going to solve these. So let's cross multiply. A times d is x times, you could use a dot or multiplication, your choice. X times 2 equals 6 times 5. Since that's a multiplication, we'll divide by 2. Just watch. So the 2's cancel, and you get x. So that's the 30. You can cancel 2 into 6 goes 3. 3 5s are 15. And we cross multiply. We get n times 4, or 4n. It makes no difference when you multiply. You can go 4n and 8 times 7. And you can call 8 times 7 56 if you want to right away. It's your choice. So n times 4, or 4 times n, 4n equals that. You divide both sides by 4. You get n equals 4's cancel and 8 twice, so you get a 14. Again, you could have gone n times 4 is 4n. 8 times 7 is 56. And then you could have divided by 4 after. So it's your choice. The 4's cancel. You get 1s. And 56 divided by 4 is 14. So it's your choice. You can leave the 8 and the 7, multiply like that, and then divide by 4. When you do this, you can see the 4 will cancel. The multiplication is easier. 3 times x is 3x. 2 times 6 is 12. Once you get used to it, then you divide by 3. So the 3's cancel, they give you 1s, so x equals 4. Notice 4. 3 times 4 is 12, 2 times 6 is 12. And we have 2 times 5, that's a 30. Or sorry, 2 times 15 is 30. And 3 times t is 3t. Then we divide by 3. That gives us 10. The 3's cancel, and you get t. T is 10. 10 is t. Same thing. Number 4. We have a practice here. Solve each by cross multiplication. So work these out to see if you get the right answer and play it back. Hit play. So 2 times x is 2x. 10 times 5 is 50. Divide by 2. And you get 2's cancel to give you, they're 1s now, don't forget. And you get a 25. And 7 times y, or y times 7, you put a multiplication sign, or 7y. 14 times 3, you can multiply to give 42. Divide by 7, and y, the 7's cancel, 1, 1. So y equals 42 divided by 7 is 6. N times 4 is 4n. 12 times 1 is 12. Cross multiply. And 12 times 1, and you divide by 4. So the 4's cancel, and you get n equals 3. Again, check. 3 times 4 is 12. 12 times 1 is 12. Good. And cross multiply here. 2 times 16 is 32. 8 times x is 8x. Divide each side by 8. The 8's cancel by 1s, so you get x. And 32 divided by 8 is 4. Check. 2 times 16 is 32. 4 times 8 is 32. Cross multiply. 10 times 3 is 30. And 15 times 5, 15 times x is 15x. And you divide by 15. So you cross multiply and then you divide by the number with the x. Notice they'll cancel out. 1s. So you don't have to cancel these all the time once you know what you're doing. We got 5 times n equals 2 times 20, 40. Divide by 5. The 5's cancel. and you get 8. Check it. 5 eighths are 40. 2 times 20 is 40, so we're right. Solve and check each of these now. Let's see, that's easy. Cross multiply. 3 times x is 3x. 6 sevenths of 42. Divide by 3. So 3's cancel. We get x is equal to 3 into 4 is once. We get a 14. And we got to check. So let's see. 14, 6, 7, 3. 14 times 3 is 42. 6 sevenths of 42. So 14 is right. And we have 3 times 15 is 2 times 15 is 30. 10 times x or n is 10n. Divide by 10. 10's cancel. I get n equals 3. Let's check it. 15, 10, 3, 2. Cross multiply. 15 times 2 is 30. 10 times 3 is 30. N equals 3 is right. Cross multiply. 25 times x is 25x. 10 times 5 is 50. And we got to divide by 25. The 25's cancel. 1, remember, 1 each. X equals 2. Check. Let's see, check. 25 over 10 equals 5 over 2. 2 is the answer, so we put 2 here. 25 times 2 is 50. 10 times 5 is 50. So that's how you solve and check. So let's practice these. Pause your video and work these out. See if you can get the right answers and check. So x times 9 is 9x. 6 times 5 is 30. And notice 9, 9. And it don't work perfectly. So what happens is x equals, sometimes it works perfectly, sometimes it doesn't. But in this case it didn't. So 9 and 3 nines are 27. And 3 ninths. So that gives you 3 1/3. It's possible to get fractions when you solve these. Don't have to get integers all the time. But if I change this number here to 10, then if I had to put x over 6 equals 5 over 10, then I would have got 10x equals 5 6 is 30, and dividing by 10, x equals, they cancel, x equals 3, and 3 would have been perfect, but with a fraction. And you check, if you check with a fraction, well, a little bit rougher, but let's check with this. We got 3 1/3 over 6 equals 5 over 9. So 3 1/3 times 9, so 3 1/3 times 9. That's 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. That's 10 over 3. As a mixed numeral, as an improper fraction. 3 and the 9 goes 3. We get a 30. So when you cross multiply here, you get a 30. And 5 6 is 30. A little bit more, more work, but it's not too bad. And this 7 times g equals 14 times 2 is 28. Divide by 7. G equals, they cancel, 4. So 4, 14, 2, 7. 4 times 7 is 28. 14 times 2 is 28. Checks out. And cross multiply. 8 times 15 is 120. 5 times x is 5x. Divide by 5. 5's cancel. 1 and 1, just to make sure. And 5 into 12 goes 2. 5 into 20 goes 4. So 24. So 8, 5, 24 goes into place of x by substituting back in. 8 times 15 is 120. 5 times 24 is 120. So 24 is the answer. And the last one we have here, 2 times h. 3 times 5 is 15. And we divide by 2. And we get, they cancel. And we get 15 divided by 2 is 7. And 1 left over, so 7.5. And if we check that out, 2 over 3 equals 5 over, I could say 7.5 or 7.5 if you want, 7.5 or 7.5, makes no difference. So 2 times 7.5 is 15. And 3 times 5 is 15. And just remember that if you put 2 times 7.5 instead of a decimal, then what happens, you have to change your mixed numeral to an improper fraction. 7 times 2 is 14 plus 1 is 15 over 2. So the 2 is over 1. Because you're multiplying, you can cancel. Cancel top to bottom. 1 times 15 is 15 over 115. So it checks out. So you can have a decimal or a fraction. Makes no difference. As solving some proportions, not too rough, not too heavy. And if you like my video, then you can click on the like button, the subscribe button, the notification bell. You can write a comment on my video if you wish. And you may visit my math website at www.mathfullyexplained.com. There you'll find information about, one section is on me, my degrees and teaching experience. Another section is on the type of teaching strategies you're going to use in my videos. And the most important one is a section on content, which gives you the topics and the number of videos that I have online. And what's online is in black font, and what's in red font will be coming up in the near future developed. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.